And then also,
No,
yeah,
I've seen a lot.
I can do that.
the guy.
Kendall liked it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's the old
Did you want to stand up?
When that time passed.
hotel or no,
Another chair.
Afternoon service. Good.
Hi, Doug.
Hello.
I'm waiting for someone. She could, yes.
So if you're okay not being in the film and maybe just the.
Oh, that's right.
We
We don't.
Okay, I was gonna say, if so, we'll have you move a little closer, but,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah. But if you wanna be in the video, just, but your voice and everything will be. Okay.
We take pictures, we're not good.
And you wanna be the subject.
Okay, well, that's that.
2 days ago.
There they are. Let Doug's girlfriend come in before. Is that who you're
She should be here. It's still 2 minutes to 10.
Oh, yes, I always wait on. We've had so much fun with technology this morning that I feel like I need to rub it some kind, and I'm not even sure. It's so confusing, but we have it set up. The camera is going to be on its own. Stacy has something to do, so she's just set it so that the screen is going to show in the YouTube for now anyway. And then when she's finished what she has to do, she'll come back. And I'm just looking at her screen and making sure it's going. That's all I can do. It's hoping her, she's going to get a phone call.
And then it's gonna mess it up. Pardon?
We must have a meeting.
10 o'clock. Oh, wake up or something. So, anyway, I think we can go. I don't have any real announcements. If any of you have questions or plans, but things you can think of, we've still got an opening in May and maybe two. We're not sure about one of them. So any suggestions are welcome. So the Berquists you're familiar with, we've had the chance to have them twice last year. And I want them to introduce themselves this time, even though you won't be on the camera. You'll be heard anyway. Just tell us a little bit about you and your families.
All right. I'm Francis, of course, Berquist. That's my wife, Janice.
We have 5 boys.
One more photographer in the family.
Yeah, 1 photographer.
We started this about, I would guess, 40 years ago. And I used to hunt everything, and finally gave up the gun and picked up the camera. I don't exactly remember when it was, but I was calling coyotes, and there was a bunch of deer across the canyon. And as soon as I started squawking on that caller, here come that buck deer. Just not trotting, just walked across there. And I was way up high on a ledge, and he was down below. Well, he just came right straight up the hill, and probably came up, I don't know, down the hallways. He came up, and when I seen his horns coming up over, that's the first thing I could see. So there's a big rock there. I thought, I'm gonna have some fun with this guy. So I ducked behind the rock, and he came up, beautiful buck, stood there and looked around, and so I squeaked on the predator call, and boy, here he comes, right now. So when he got close, I could go around the other side of the rock. Just keep going around and around, and all of a sudden I could see that he wasn't happy anymore. His hackles were standing up his ears for that. So I thought maybe we better end this. So I stood up, waved my arms and yelled at him. He stood there, looked at me, just turned around, walked back up the hill. I was telling Janice about it. I said, I need a camera. And that was probably in November. And for Christmas, I got a camera.
Yeah.
That's how we got started. I didn't have lenses, we didn't have much of a camera, but we got going. And, I've got about 50 or 60,000 pictures in my files. So I've got a little bit of everything. I've got 300 and some species of birds. So it's been fun, but it's a paying hobby, I guess you'd say, at least. We still sell a few pictures, not like we used to, but so do a lot with Wyoming wildlife and different magazines, but most of the bird magazines are gone. They've folded up, so. But we do it just for fun now. All right, we'll start out with, is that everything anybody needed to know? They got any questions about it?
Ask if, can everybody hear okay?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This last summer, I believe it was last summer, I made a birdhouse, put it up on the Cedar Creek Road up in the rocks. And it was late when I put it up, and I didn't think I'd even get any bluebirds. Well, I put it up on a Saturday. We came back the next Sunday, and they were already moved in. So they had, I think, five eggs. And once she started setting on, we left her alone, and they were feeding. So we took up a batch of mealworms. We bought a bunch just for that, and put them in that tray. And the first time we put them in, they didn't even look at them. They just flew right over it. So we went home, and we came back a few days later, and the worms were all gone. So I dumped some more worms in there, and before I even got the worms in there, the female came out of the box. And she came right up to the car window. She just hovered, looking at us. And put worms in there, and they ate everything we could even begin to put in there. But the male here, he was a little spookier. He didn't like that close proximity with us. But he's got a mouthful. It'd have been more too, but it looks like it's empty. It's like he emptied it.
I think that day though, it was raining, a little bit cloudy, and when it's cloudy like that,
You can't find bugs.
well, the female stays in
Yeah.
and keeps them warm, so he's feeding her too.
That was her, and I wanted a picture with those cactus buds in the background. And so I put a couple mealworms on that rock. That's all it took. About 2 minutes we got our pictures. That's this front of this birdhouse. I was splitting firewood for the wood stove, and this piece had a real unique, you could see how it's shaped. I should have took a picture further back. You could see it all those. Really a neat looking log. So I shaved it down as much as I could and built a birdhouse on the back and drilled a hole in it. And they loved it. They just took it right now. Right, this is a unique situation. We had 40 acres of land down by Savory that we had bought down there. We moved a little trailer house in for a cabin, and there was a hay rack on the place. So we, just for the fun of it, the boys and us grabbed it, pulled it down there, and parked it there. Well, the first thing I did is put a stick on it, put a bluebird house, and it was right by the cabin, so we could watch it. We knew when she took in nesting material, and then she was gone for 2 weeks, couldn't see her. And then we knew when they hatched because she started bringing eggshells out of there. Well, the male, he was feeding her, or the babies. He took off, and I set up the camera and waited. I wanted to get the pictures of him when he come back. Here he come with this big, I don't know if you want to call it a Mormon cricket or a Jerusalem cricket, whatever they are. Probably as big as the babies. He took it in the box and oh my gosh, what a commotion in there and how'd he come with it? So he sat on this stick and I took a few more pictures. He tried it again, same situation. She ran him right out. So he ate it himself and then away he went and come back with a little tiny green caterpillar. What he was expecting.
I guess she didn't want him to have tornadoes.
No, well, he'd had a torn little tiny piece.
Oh,
That's a eastern bluebird. It was taken somewhere here, I'm not sure. Once in a while we get them, but not often. But that one was sitting on I can't remember where it took it, over by Curtis's, I think. Go ahead. Okay, now these pictures I'm showing right now are kind of, songbirds, yardbirds, whatever you're going to call them. They're not all, my whole thing today is 4 separate habitats and what we can find there. But they all cross back and forth. So anyway, this is a lazuli bunting. That's in my yard. And, excuse me. Go ahead. There he's sitting on a feeder. They're pretty little things. They're very small. Smaller than not like a goldfinch, like that size. There he is. And that's a male that's just in the spring hasn't gotten all his good feathers yet. That's a snow bunting. Now, we get them around here, but I've seen one bunch. I've seen them driving down the road, see them fly across and stuff. But this is the only one I had a chance to photograph. That was out west of town. And that was, I think, the only good picture I got of them. They're pretty. Okay, that's catbird, gray catbird. They're very fond of grape jelly. And I used to have a pair that would spend the summer in my yard eating grape jelly and oranges and stuff, but they don't anymore now, and the only ones I get are in the fall, and they're young birds, and they come and eat the choke cherries and stuff. There he's up there getting grape jelly. You can tell them they've got that gray color, but that red piece under their tail, and then they got a black or dark crown on their head. That's a Cassin's finch. Very popular, or populous, just real thick in the spring and in the mountains. And then about June, they disappear and they go nest somewhere. And then they come back the next year. It's a house finch. They're pests all the time, more or less. They're always here. But they're pretty.
They sing though.
Yeah, they do.
Sing.
Yes, they do. Usually the first ones in the spring that are singing are those guys. Here's a goldfinch. Somebody made him mad. He's on his feeder. You see he's ready to attack, but they won't. That's a lesser goldfinch. There's 2 kinds here, lesser and a greater. That's called a it's a greenback variety. And I think the next one, that's blackback. They're the same bird, but just with a little different coloration, more or less. That's a black-headed grosbeak. They're here all summer. They like just about anything. They like suet. They like, especially sunflower seeds. They like grape jelly. They like oranges.
Can everybody hear him? Okay.
Am I carrying all right? I don't have a very loud voice, especially today. It's kind of squeaky. But go ahead. That's the female. She's down eating sunflower seeds. And showed her real good. That's why I don't usually like to take pictures on a feeder. But I like that her picture, so I used it.
And these sunflower seeds we tried the shelled.
Yeah. It's really the way to go, but it's expensive. You don't have the mess with seeds, hulls, and they're really not that more. They say it takes 3 pounds of shell drills to get the ones in the shell, to get 1 pound of these. And if you figure that out, a 50-pound sack, you know, you get close to 20 pounds. And they're a little more expensive, but they're very nice. All right, now there's the black-headed grosbeak over there on the left, and then this one is a rose-breasted. They're very closely related. They don't look anything alike, but the rose-breasted is an eastern species. We get a few almost every spring. They don't stay long, and I understand that some people here in town have had nests, but I never had one. They are pretty. That's an evening grosbeak. I'm sure everybody's familiar with them. I get mine, well, about now. It should be coming anytime in early March. And most people have them all winter, but they come here to my house in March. They stay till about mid-June. They all disappear. They go out and nest, and then in about August or September, they bring back some of the ugliest children you ever saw. But they come to the feeder, and I don't know if I put a baby one in there. I don't think I did. Go ahead. They strut like that. When they're wanting to breed, they strut like a little turkey or something. Spin around and drop their wings or drag their wings along the ground. But that's the only decent picture I've ever gotten. It just lasts for seconds. And then
Got the green bill.
yeah, oh yeah. That's the way you can tell it's spring. The grosbeak's bill turns from chalk white to bright green. And you know it needs to breeding grooves. The hen too. I like that. Just you're looking at me, but I like that because we landed on a branch full of snow and it flew. Yeah, you can really see the green meat on him. I just like that. That's a pine grosbeak. This is up in the snowy range. And this particular bird, but we hadn't been there to fill feeders for some reason, probably weather. And I knew we'd probably be out when we got there. We were completely out. And I could hear these pine grosbeaks up in the tree. And I started putting seeds in the feeder, and this one come bouncing down, just chirping, and he came right down above me, and I put a few seeds in my hand, I held him up, he just hopped right on. I've never had him do that. Well, then another male came too, and he tried to get on there, this one would not let him on my hand.
But we don't have them.
Well, you see them once in a while, and you hear them once in a while. That's the female. She's kind of pretty in her own way, but she's not near as pretty as him. Okay, let's stop in order. That's a rose-breasted grosbeak, and pretty well named with that red chunk on their breast and the size of the beak. That's it. Oops. Can you back it up just one else? Can you go video? Yeah. He's really, really pretty, much prettier than that picture, actually. They come in, and the one that was on the feeder and this one are very closely related. They're called a geographical variation. And they're close enough related that they will interbreed. And so you get some hybrids around, not very often, but go ahead.
Grosbeaks have the big bill to crack the seeds.
And that's and pinch. The worst bird bite I ever got, I think I was up in Lander with the gal up there, and we were banding some birds. First time I'd ever done it. And I'd never taken one out of the nest. First one I took out was a black-headed grosbeak, and he got me right here, and I'd like to cry. That was the last time I ever went up there. I didn't care for it. Those are goldfinches in the wintertime. Now, those are starting to show their yellow. It's probably taken in the spring. But a lot of people don't think we have goldfinches. They think we just have them in the summer. But we don't. We have them all year round. Not as many, maybe, but that is a female Western tanager. I think what it was. Female Western tanager. And she came real late last fall. Showed up and was here for a while and sat on a perch that I set up for him to sit on and took the picture. But she's real plain compared to the male. I think the male's next. Oh no, she got mixed up. That is a Perula warbler. And that wasn't supposed to be where it's at in there, but they're very rare here. In fact, this is the second one I've ever seen in the fall. They're much prettier in the summer, according to what I see on TV and stuff, but they're a real unique looker. These are all mixed up.
Well, we had technical difficulties yesterday
We had
too.
more difficulties. It took us all a damn day to get this. We still didn't get it right. But that's a cedar waxwing, and I like the way. I had one last year that I was watching, and he was getting, this is on the same bush, I was the same bird, but he would flip a berry up in the air and grab it when it come back down. So once in a while he'd miss, but it's like he was playing with it. He'd throw them up and he'd play basketball. Yeah, there's another goldfinch. There's another black. We thought we had these perfect.
As long as you know
Yeah, it's
them. Yeah.
really. If I don't know them, I'm in trouble. That's a blue jay. I've had one for 3 years in a row, all winter. We'd come in the fall and stay all winter, and we'd feed him peanuts most of the time. And he was pretty. He was a carrot. Then and he left or died, whatever. And I got one more single, and I haven't seen him since.
If you haven't gathered by now, there's a large percent that comes out of the food budget for birds.
Okay, this is kind of a unique situation. This is the next two pictures. He's burying a peanut, hiding it in the yard. You get some. Have it.
Nope.
Well, go back. It'll come up pretty soon. But anyway, he takes a peanut, works it into the ground or into the grass, and picks up another leaf and lays it on top. So he hides it from everybody. Okay, we might as well. That's a nighthawk. That's in my tree out in the front yard. They're cool. I like them, but I don't get them very often anymore. They fly around, but I never get them sitting in the trees. Now, if you look close, you can see where he's going to grab that bug. But it was not very. Well, it's not a good picture by any means for anything, but I think it's neat because of the bug. Yeah. It was out at the lake, and they were in that. We went up the road between the marshes, what do you call it? Where the tracks used to be, railroad tracks, and that whole flat was just full of them catching bugs. And I was trying to get some flight shots, and that's not easy. Boy, this is all completely screwed.
I know, we don't know. We'll just continue like we knew what we were doing.
But that's a Baltimore Oriole. And it's not the Oriole we have as a rule. But they do get here. These are further east. That was the Oriole that I grew up with in South Dakota. They're the only ones I ever saw. Ours. No, that's Baltimore again. Hey, we got two in a row. There's ours. There's our Deluxe Oriole. Those come every spring, and they will stay. A few pairs will stay all summer, and come and get grape jelly and oranges whatever we have to feed them. And I think they were feeding the kids even out of this. That's a little pine siskin. They're kind of a dull little bird, but they're very active. And when I get them, I'll get 20 of them at a time or more. And they'll go through vicissitude. Like, yeah, there's another one. But they're kind of neat. Yeah, there they are in the feeder. They got yellow on the tail and on their wing, and the rest is just streaking brown. There's a barn swallow feeding the baby one on the fence. And they would sit there in a row, and she would come back with a bug, and she knew which one got the last bug. She'd just go right down the line. So everybody got the same. She was a good mother. There's the male, or one of them, I'm not sure. They're getting their mud and stuff to build their nest. She would go over into the grass, get some dry grass, come over here, get as much mud as she could, mix it all together, and away she'd go. And build their mud nest. That's a tree swallow, American tree swallow. They're common. We have a lot of them here in town. In fact, out at the lake, when they're coming through, there will be literally thousands of them in the rushes, in the trees and stuff. Now that one was, they were nesting in that pipe right on the west end of town there. I don't think it's even there anymore. But it just didn't seem like a very safe place for me, because if it got rain, it'd come right down on them, running down. But they seemed to like it. So there they nested in a nest box in my yard.
Oh my gosh.
They haven't come the last couple of years either, for some reason. See them flying around. That one is a violet green swallow. They're common here, but you don't really see how pretty they are until you get them up close. And, well, I wonder, I guess I don't have a, yeah, there,
Oops, I did that.
there. The violet and the green, you can see it. At the top of the head. They're a very pretty swallow. This next one is a female of the violet green. And when they're nesting, they love white feathers. And we took one out and feather out, and I was gonna throw it up in the air for her. And my hand instead, she just, down she come out of the nest, lit on my finger. Took it, went back up. She got so that if we come out with feathers, she'd spot us from where she was in the nest box. I don't know how, but there she'd come. And one day I was out mowing the lawn, and a noisy old stinky lawnmower went around. Here she comes, she lit on my head. I sat up as I was going around, waiting for me to get a feather, so I dug around my pocket, gave it to her, but she followed me clear around the yard, or sat on my head, one of the two. I thought she was going to try and get some hair from the nest. Absolutely no fear of this. We had it for 2 years. Leonard, do you remember these? One of yours was red. Is that summer tanager? Yeah, it's a young, immature summer tanager. That is the only one I've seen. I've seen females, and he's just getting his red. But there's the western tanager. That's the one that I thought was supposed to be way back when. But that's probably our prettiest, I think, one of our prettier birds. He is pretty. I tried for years to get a picture of one up in the mountains and could never get close. And so I put jelly out and oranges for the orioles, and they showed up too, right in the yard. And last year or the year before, I had 8 pair of them trying to get to that feeder. And it was just a swarm of color around that, where they were trying to get to the great jelly. That's a female. She's about as plain as he is bright. But not much to see. Right there is a Bohemian waxwing. They come out of the Arctic. They nest way, way up in the boreal forest. They come down in the wintertime, or used to. Now, I haven't had any. They come into the yard then and eat crab apples. I haven't had one for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And they come, there might be 100 or more in a flock, and they will just strip a apple tree in a few hours. They don't have much fear of you. You can walk around and watch them, and they don't care much. You can tell them for our Bohemian waxing by the yellow on the wing, and then they have the red under their tail, almost like a catbird.
Yeah, the red wax too.
And the red wax, yeah, that's where the name comes from, of course. Is that red? I don't even know really what it is. It looks just like wax. But the older and more mature the bird, the more wax they have. And so that's pretty old guy there.
One of my favorites.
They are beautiful. There they are. There, that shows the red under their tail. Always have, all the waxwings have bright yellow on the tip of their tail, except someplace back east, people planted some kind of a berry, and it made all the tips of the tail orange. So there's just a small area that has orange tips on the tail. Go ahead. All right, we've got a few pictures here of warblers come in the fall. That is a chestnut-sided warbler. The only one I've ever seen. Very rare in the state, as far as I know. They came to my water. And that's the thing that draws them more than anything else. That's a Townsend warbler, quite common in quite a few of them. Go ahead, next. Oh, there's another picture of him.
Is that the one that they say looks a little like a bandit?
Yeah, got a mask across his face. That's a Wilson's warbler. Incidentally, these names are all going to change because the ornithologists, their society, are changing all the birds that have named for a person. And they're going to change it because so many of the names that have nothing to do with the bird at all. And a lot of it comes from those down south that had slaves. And instantly made them, they're going to get changed. Just the birds with the name. So we won't have a Steller's Jay anymore. We won't have a Wilson's Warbler. We won't have an Audubon's.
When's this gonna happen? When is this?
I don't know. I think they're working on it now.
Well, you'll find that some people have already started using
Yeah.
the ones they've changed. Yeah.
We had a Hound's Longsbird, which is a prairie bird, cute little bird. And they changed that already to a thick-billed Longsbird. That's what they're going to do, is name them for a feature of the bird, and sell more field guides probably.
Wow.
Everybody's going to name them. That is the old rump warbler. There's 2 different varieties. There's the myrtles and there's the Audubons. And the main way you can tell them is underneath the throat. The myrtles is white, and the Audubon is yellow. I think the next one is the Audubon. Right, go ahead.
Do you want to put some money on
Oh, okay. Like I said, there'd be one more myrtle. All right, then it's the next one. Oh, I like them pictures, I guess. There he is. There he is. Yeah, underneath his throat, his bill is bright yellow. I don't see near as many of these anymore than I do the other ones. It used to be the other way around, but for some reason we're not getting them. Well, there's another waxwing flipper back here. Yeah, it was eating some mountain ash berries that I saved from the fall from my mountain ash trees and wired them to a branch. just for
Frozen.
frozen, yeah, in fact, I got some now. But they like them mountain ashberries.
We froze them in the deep freeze and we wired them to the branch. And then
It works.
Yeah,
The only thing is, if you're 5 minutes late, they're all gone. And I throw waxwings in the water. That's my pond, but that's probably the most important, well, close second to the feeders to draw birds in is that water. They constant, even now, the sparrows and the finches are taking baths when it's 16, 20 below. They're out there taking a bath. And then there was, yeah, there's a young cedar waxwing, and he is not quite as good looking as the mother. He's I always said that's a face that only a mother can love. That's a downy woodpecker. That's a male. You can always tell that the male has a red spot on the back of his head. Goes all the way around the back of the head. The female looks almost identical to him, but she doesn't have the red. That's a hairy woodpecker. He looks just like the downy, but almost twice as big.
do all the male woodpeckers have red on the back?
Not all of them.
Not all?
Most of them do. They got some color. A three-toed is yellow. Go ahead. I see now this one does not. This is a Clark's, no, Lewis's woodpecker. They are about as weird colored as anything there is. They're big woodpecker, almost as big as a flicker. And for 2 or 3 springs, I have with the, I don't know if it's the same bird, come into the yard and feed on suet, and get into the pond and stuff. And he's left, I haven't seen him since. Those are red-headed woodpeckers. I did not take that picture here. We get them here now and then, but this was taken in South Dakota. But she was sitting in the hole and he was, I don't know, he was bringing her something, I suppose. It just happened to got them both in there. There's a flicker. Now that you can always know it's a male because he has that bright red mustache. And the yellow shafted, which is east of us, they have a black mustache and red on the back of their head. So it just sort of goes. We had our place down there, we were talking about that bluebird. It was up in the forest and found this old aspen log laying down, so I took it, threw it in the back of the pickup, took it down there out in the open and set it there. I thought, well, sometime maybe I'll get a flicker to build a nest. And by the time we got down there the next time, they'd already had the old one. They're probably still in the nest, I don't know. And this is kind of interesting. I wouldn't think of a bird eating inside of a bone, but it's suet. But I had those bones when we cut our elk. I always saved a few bones for Greg's dog. She'd take them out in the yard and chew on them, but she couldn't get in to get the suet out of it. I just happened to leave it lay there. I figured the magpies would get it. I heard that flicker went in there and just, he'd go clear in as far as he could reach and get that suet. I thought that was pretty neat stuff. There's a black cap chickadee, and I think everybody knows them. There they are again. They don't seem to like the winter. They're always around chirping. I've got more chickadees than I got anything else this year. But there's another one. It's pretty easy to get to eat out of your hand. One time, that's a mountain chickadee there. See how tell the difference between a white streak in his head. Years ago, we were down at the place, down at the acreage down there, and the grandson was with us. Grandson. He was probably, what, 5, 6 years old. And Grandma made us some hot chocolate when we got down there, and we were out, him and I were out filling the feeders and stuff. And all of a sudden, this chickadee flew right over on the edge of his cup. And he's looking at me, have a look at here. And all of a sudden, she reached down, took a big old drink, flew away. And he's going, hey! She didn't care. That's a brown creeper. That if you ever see a mouse that climbs a tree, that's one. They look just like a mouse when they're going. Little brown johnnies. They're interesting. They like suet. But if you get them in a suet feeder, they'll stay, otherwise you don't see them much. Up in the forest, they will start at the very, almost on the ground, and they'll spiral up the tree trunk. And when they get clear to the top, fly, go to the next tree, down at the bottom, and start all over, and up they go. It's kind of neat how they do that.
This curved bill is what they use to get underneath
The bark, yeah.
the bark, yeah, to get the bugs out.
I've never seen one get a bug out of there, and I know that's what they're doing. There's a crossbill, a red crossbill. You can see his beak, how it bends over. That is Mother Nature's way of designing a beak that they can get into pine cones, and just like a pliers almost, over the pine cone, reach in and get the seed. And how is it with the beaks? If it crossed on the right side or the left side made a difference. How I don't know what it is. And scratch that. That's a white ring crossbill. That's the only one I've ever seen. It's not much of a picture, but they look a lot like the red ones, but they just have white wing bars on them.
Really see the crossbill in that one.
Yes, you can really see how it's a longer, looks like a slimmer bill than the ones we have. They come out of the north. I always watch on YouTube. There's a guy that I kind of follow out of northeastern Minnesota, and he has these white winged crossbills, by the thousands, I guess you'd say, in one of them big bogs up there. And he's running around, sometimes on a bicycle, photographing the birds in there. He gets 4 or 5 different kinds of owls, of course the crossbills, red wolves, just a lot of stuff. It's fun to watch him. He's kind of a character anyway. He does a pretty good job with it. Okay, go ahead. Oh, I didn't say it.
No.
We're in the mountain birds. This is a dipper. That's water all behind him there. I believe I took that to Miracle Mile. And they get into the water and they almost swim in the water. They use their wings a lot. And they pick little nymphs and stuff off the rocks. What do they want? There's their nest, such as it is. Two really ones sticking their head out. They're actually a member of the wren family. And I guess, I've never heard one, but I guess they have a very pretty song when they're in breeding season. But this one, this is down at, what the heck is that place on it? It's got the, it's right, you go into the mountains from encampment and go south. Anyway, Steve Luce was down there and something, and he told me he found this. So I went down the next day and took some pictures of it. They didn't get very good pictures. They weren't really very active.
But if you ever find something like this, and you want to know if it's a nest, look at the white.
Yeah.
The little buggers just backed up to the hole and did their job, and that was it.
Keeps the nest clean and the rock dirty.
The rock is just white with them backing their little butts up.
What the heck is the name of that place down there? It's where Cheyenne gets her water quality.
Oh, Clark.
Hog Park. Hog Park, yeah. I don't know why I forget. But it's kind of cool. There's a pine grove peak. That's like the one that was got on my hand. The pine cones right in front, I had put liquid suet on them by the trees. But he wasn't after that. He didn't get that. The chickadees and the, yeah, I guess That's why that picture was in there twice. Same picture, different deal.
Oh, my.
There's a blue grouse, or now it's a dusky grouse. Blue grouse. It's up on a wood pile, and somebody's firewood. It's strutting going. They make a noise almost like a dove coo, real low pitched. And I don't know how the hens even hear him, but I guess it carries real well through the timber, and they'll hear him and come to him. There's a sharp-tailed grouse. That's what we always call the wind-up toes. It's hilarious to watch them dance, round and around and stomping their feet. They do everything the same. But they are pretty. This was just as you come into the forest from Bags, and there's a place there. Now they won't let you in there. I still don't know why, but it's right on one of those White Arrow roads, and you can just sit in the car and watch it. Now they won't let you in there because you're disturbing them. And one guy I used to photograph with, Ron Grell, he was sitting out there taking pictures. One flew up and strutted on his foot, and because it made more noise. So they weren't real scared of this. And the one time we drove in there real early and it startled them, they all took off. And we thought, God dang it, we really screwed this up. So we didn't even get settled, and here they all came back with more of them. There was about 30, maybe 40. I like that. That's a golden medal ground squirrel. Bird, Clark's nutcracker. That's another one that will change. That's Clark. That's a white-breasted nuthatch. They're one of my common birds up at the range, and I get them at home too, but they don't seem to stay. They come eat suet, you might not see them for another week. There's a gray jay. I've got a lot of names for their gray jay, Canada jay, whiskey jack, camp robber. Oh, I don't know how many.
Teddy bears.
Huh?
Teddy bears.
Yeah, Mom calls them teddy bears. But they're evidently pretty. When they come to the feeders, all the small birds they're gone. The joncos and the chickadees. So evidently they're a little aggressive. I've never seen it, but that one's eating on it. It's a suet feeder. It's a certain kind that you can buy the suet balls for it. And it worked pretty good. I did it more for pictures than anything. That's a pinyon jay. Now, they're not, you don't see them a lot, but up in the Seminole Mountains north of Sinclair, there has been several times. Greg and I, we talked about it. He put the feeder up there years ago, thinking that maybe we could get them, and we didn't know what they would want, so it's always sunflower seeds. Almost anything will eat it. And within a week, we had about 30 or 40 of them in there. They just came in mass, and if you're out driving around, you can't get close to it. But there, they could have cared less. They're marked right there. There's another one. That's the baby one. Same thing. It's a face that only a mother can love. But they were in the nest in a little juniper. We found the nest, and next time we went to look, the babies had already left the nest. They can't fly or anything. This one was in a pile of rocks. And whenever she'd come, he'd come scrambling out of there and she'd feed him. There's the Stiller's jay. That's one of my favorite pictures of Stiller's jay. I like. There's another one with why they come. Up at the range, we have an old stump sitting there, and on the back side of it, we put a little butter dish or something. I'm not sure what it was. We fill it up with peanuts. Whenever we would come to the feeders, we drive up, usually before we even got out, they were coming across the road and waiting for their payments. But they got so that they were running off all the birds too, so I don't know. A little bit aggressive and noisy. There's another picture of that Clark's nutcracker, and he's in, you can see in his beak, he's got pine seeds. And they say, the people that are supposed to know this stuff, say they bury about 50,000 seeds for the winter. And they will be able to retrieve most of them all winter. How they would do it when you got snow under it, but they usually put it at the base of the tree. I don't know how they get up. I can remember all that. They do. There's another one. He was up at the feeder in the range eating sunflower seeds. I took it because it was snowing so hard. That's a pygmy nuthatch. See, now they're not in there either. But this is quite unusual in the snowies. This is the only one I've seen. Now up in the Seminole Mountains, there's quite a few more, and I read somewhere that they are attracted or live in ponderosa pines, and there's more of them up there. But I was pretty tickled to get this little guy. That's a red-breasted nuthatch. They're a lot like, they're all kind of the same, just different color. But they like the same foods, and there's another white-breasted. That's a pretty, I like the shot. I got one in here, I think. Oh, there's their nest. White-breasted had a nest in it. I would assume it was a woodpecker hole, but they will make their own if they need food. Yeah, there's the white-breasted and the red-breasted on the same suet feeder. And I don't think they could see each other when I got this picture, because they will not allow anybody else to be there when they're there. I think they were just in the right position, but I didn't see it. That's kind of neat when the feeder's right below. And he'd come down along that log and he was going to go down the feeder. And about that time, I'm not sure what it was, flew in there to the feeder. And boy, he did not like it. He hung upside down and flapped his wings and cheeped. The bird never moved, so he waited and got it. And there went that one. Can't remember what it was for sure. That is a red-naped sapsucker. Pretty common. That's in my back there, front yard. I might be wrong with that, but anyway, they pick all those little holes in the tree, and that bleeds sap, and that's what they want, where their name comes from. Go ahead. Yeah, there you can see that. We had a Williamson sapsucker. I think we might have a picture of that. Okay, that's a young one, really shows how he was working underneath the branch. And cutting holes in it. Doesn't seem to hurt the tree, but there's another one. That's all right. Go ahead. Yeah, there's the Williamson sapsucker. He looks, they're in the same habitat, usually in an aspen tree, but they're not as common. We don't see them here as much. There's the female. Completely different. And they're so different. Almost all woodpeckers are basically the same. These are so different that at one time they were thought to be two different species and had two different names and everything before they figured out they were male and female. That is a three-toed woodpecker. You see, his yellow is right around his beak, and pretty plain other than that. They're just very, you see them, especially in the snowy range, it's very hard to get close to them. Okay, we're going into sagebrush country. I don't know if anybody knows what those are, but he had him a nice little harem, and I like that picture of the mountains in the background. They were getting ready to come to elect, and they were walking in. There's a good portrait of a male. And
Do you want me to go
Yeah,
back?
it's just, I was just gonna say that I wanted everybody to know that that was a male. I will let it go with that. This is a upland sandpiper. They're not, you know, almost all sandpipers are connected with water. This one is not. They're nowhere near water. In the prairie country, they're messed up. I mean, they might be in along streams and stuff early spring, but then they go clear out. Around here, they go in the sagebrush if you even find any. I didn't realize before, so they got one stand on one leg. There's a western meadowlark singing his heart out. That's a mountain plover. Fairly rare, not real rare, but at one time they were going to be listed. We have 2 or 3 pair that nest west of town by the old pump station out there, whatever that is, and they're always in that clearing. They're not exactly a sagebrush bird, but here that's all they've got, so they're more of a grassland bird. Yeah, there's another picture. Cute little guys. They're about the size of a kid here, maybe a little bit smaller. This is a loggerhead shrike. Such a cuddly looking guy, and yeah, he is a cold-blooded killer. He's a predatory songbird. And most of what they live on is stuff they catch and kill. I don't know if you can see it on their beak or that or not. They got what they call a toenail tooth. And it's just like a point on the bottom that goes into a indentation on the top. And when that comes together, whatever's between them is in deep trouble. Let's go ahead and change it. The mouse, Greg and I trapped in my feeders, seed place. We took them up north of Sinclair. They had a nest there, and we knew they take their prey and they pin it to a sharp thorn, or a lot of times they'll use a barbed wire fence, and they'll pin it on there. That way they can tear it apart and take the kids. They don't have strong enough feet to hold it down and hold it. They are considered a songbird. Not a very friendly one, but they're interesting. Okay, that was what's been like that.
What?
Yeah, there's 3 birds that are named with sage in them. The sage grouse, this is a sage sparrow, and then we have a sage thrasher someplace in here. They're all supposed to be together, but I don't know, they changed somehow. We didn't do that.
Well, it was right last night.
Yeah.
So somebody must have come in there.
You know who the is. Okay, I don't know what that is. This is Savannah sparrow. They're another one that's sagebrush. I think it is. I hope I'm right on that. Okay, now we're into the sage thrasher. They sing like nothing else. All the thrashers are good singers. These guys will just go on forever and ever and ever singing. I think the next picture. Yeah, this one, Greg and I were out at the lake. This is way back when I was just getting started. And I hadn't got a chance to get one of these. It was singing right along the road in the sagebrush. So we pulled up alongside of it, and it started singing. And it sang, and it sang, and it sang, and finally I heard Greg over there say, "Jesus, shut up already." But we just kept thinking, now that's the one right there. That's it. It was probably, I got 2 of them. Probably near that wall, maybe. He didn't care. I think he was warning us that we were well done. All right, now we're getting into the wetlands. This is one more habitat I have. That's an avocet. And this is right after they're done breeding. I have an old series of them that they do, but they get side by side. This is out of order. Go ahead and see if there's another one. Nope, all right, go back to it.
Well, if you want me just to go in and change them.
After they're done breeding, first she'll lay down in the water, almost her head underwater, and he'll come up alongside her, and just like he's so unconcerned, swishes his beak around in the water, messes around. Well, then they're done breeding, and they cross beaks, and almost like they put their wings around each other. And then the two of them get side by side and walk away for 5-10 feet. That's kind of cool. That is an American bitter, and I'm fascinated by him. I'm any chance I get, I take a picture of him. But he's got the white feathers on his shoulders. When he's in breeding plumage or has a hen somewhere around, he fluffs them out, and you always know that. And then they've got a call that it's like nothing else.
It's just
That's all I can
like
say.
nothing.
They started out with maybe 10 clicks, and that's what they get a nickname of stake driver. It sounds like somebody tapping a stake into the ground. And then they go into another short vocalization that sounds like somebody that's sick to their stomach. And then it lasts quite a while. It's neat to hear. And if you play a call of them, they will usually come to it to see somebody else is in their territory. They're all fluffed up. Okay, now this is a young one, but I like the sound of the water going up. He plunged his head in there. I was taking pictures of him, so I was right on him. And he come up with go ahead, the next one. Yep, I got it. Got a little crayfish. And he was in that pond walking around right beside us. I don't know how many of them they caught, and little minnows and stuff. And this is a young of the years. This is probably, I don't know, I got a date on it someplace, but it really doesn't make any difference.
Oh, here,
August?
yeah, August 12th.
August, yeah. But you never could find the nest because it's way out into the cat hills. They don't fly into it, they'll sneak through the reeds and go on the nest. I've never seen one anyway. There's a yellow-headed blackbird, and he displays like this when another yellow-headed blackbird flies over. They'll do it every time. This isn't the one where they make all the sound. I don't even know if I got it. Oh, there's a baby one. That a cute little guy. But they're prettier when they're growing. Like I said, they're good. And that's, of course, another redwing, and he's, if I've seen pictures, but I have never been able to get it, when they're singing in the cold morning, and they'll just have a cloud of steam coming out of them when they're singing. And I want that picture, but whoever I talked to about it said you got to be there before the sun rises. Once the sun comes up, you can't see it anymore. So, there's a pair of sandhill cranes. That's all. Those birds, we were in New Mexico when I shot those at the bosque, and there was 30,000 cranes around. But they had no fear of you. They walked right by us on the road. That's right by the marsh. That's a snowy egret. That is the one that back in, and I'm not sure of dates, in the early 1900s, maybe it was even 1800s. The plume trade, the women's hats all had plumes in them. And that was one of the main targets. They almost wiped them out. So shot so many of them. They go into the nest in huge rookeries, and they'd go in, and of course the birds were at their very best, and they wouldn't leave because they had little ones, and they just shot them out. There's another one. Now that's a prime identification markers are yellow slipper. They claim they always call them the heron with the yellow slippers. And that's the only one that has that. They have them bright yellow ones. Okay, these are western grebes, and this is called rushing. And it is, we saw it, the Bird Club saw it down at Walden at one time. But this was taken at, I'm not sure, this might be Walden. I don't remember where it was taken. But anyway, I was watching a video last night on YouTube or yesterday, and a guy was photographing in North Dakota, and he said there's people up there that study them, and they say they have 14 steps per second along that path across the water. And they said they actually look like they're almost like they're walking on water. Look at the stream of water that's going down there. It's almost always 2, once in a while 3 that are doing that. Now they don't know for sure whether they're 2 males, 2 females, one of each, what it is. But back home in South Dakota, we had a lake about 5 miles out of town, and they had all kinds of, as long as there was enough water in it, they'd go in there and nest. And you could sit on the road and watch them doing this for hours. That's called the weed dance, where they both dive down in the water. Now, it's male and female. They get this wet twigs and moss, whatever they can bring up, and they come up and they stand clear up in the water with one another, and then away they go, and they put that in the nest. It's kind of neat to see. They're almost out of the water, just a little bit left. Now there's the nest. Now that happens to be a Clark's grebe. The black cap is above the eye. Their eye is out in the open, and on the western grebe, it's the black comes below the eye. There's other ways to tell them. That was named for Lewis and Clark too, so that will change. That's an eared grebe, and she's got her babies on her back. That's the way they carry them. She actually has 4, but you can only see 2. The other 2 are snuggled down under her feathers. And it's fun to watch because she will swim around there, and the male will go get something to eat, bring them back and feed them. And if she decides she wants to dive down too, she'll just kind of stand up and just shake real hard. And the baby wants to just like big bubble. Seem to bother her a bit. Now there he is feeding. That's a little tiny minnow. He was smart. He got a little one. Oh, I got 2 pictures of that. Maybe it was a cute. There were stripes and stuff. Boy, I got 3 of them.
And they're in a row.
Yeah, they are. I thought I did a pretty good job of putting it together. There she's on her nest. I think that's a pretty shot too. Now the nest they build floats. It's attached to water plants, but it's a floating nest, and if for any reason a strong wind or anything might take that and they'll lose their nest. But they will re-nest, and sometimes it'll wipe out a whole colony. They nest, anywhere from probably a dozen to, I don't know, thousands, where the habitat's right. This was taken down at Walden.
Yeah, that was taken the 1st of August.
Yeah, that's another thing. They're real late. They can be. This mom said the date on that's 1st of August. And she has eggs yet. So whether or not they make it before the frost comes, because that freezes up, the babies won't be able to fly. The old ones will. Now that's a horned grebe. I've only seen very few of them. That's out at the lake. They're a pretty little guy. They're bright red horns and yellow or red eye. And every one of them, young ones and old ones alike, have got that little white portion on the front of their beak. That's what they look like when they're growing up. They still got this. You still got that white tip. Yeah, there's one another. It must be a 3-year bird, I'm guessing, because that's more colorful than the last one. Yeah, the lake. Okay, now this is a black-crowned night heron. Pretty common on the marshes, and they eat just about anything they can catch. And go to the next one, see what's on there. Yeah, this is a young black-crowned night heron, and I could see that he was watching some of this bunch of grass. This grass was in the water, and water on all sides, and I thought, oh, he's got a problem. So I got all ready and waited for him, and he all of a sudden took a lunge in there and grabbed something, pulled it out, and he was moving so fast that I blurred the picture, so it wasn't any good. But it was a mouse. Go ahead, the next one, show it off. He's got a mouse there. And now he held it for, he's got something else on. I guess he picked up some weeds or something out of there with him. But he killed it, and then he walked down to the water. Go ahead, the next one. Goes down and he soaks it. He just dips it in the water, dips it in the water, and the next picture is tail going down. But I made it kind of a nice scene, but I had other pictures in it, but that was, you know, that's a great blue heron. It's the ones we have around here, big. They're pretty. There's one, and I never got the picture of it. It has got a huge bull snake that it's killing. And whenever he'd try and swallow it, the snake would roll up like it is down there, and you couldn't get it down. I don't know where that was taken. We were trying to think last night where I took that. We pulled in someplace to photograph something, and it was right in the middle of the parking lot there.
It was a little government thing on the way we were going down to Kentucky. Down
Missouri.
in Kentucky.
Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, but that must have been where it was. That's a big snake. The snake was probably, well, herons are pretty tall. And you can see if that straightened out, that would be almost as tall as she is. He is, or whatever it is. And I thought that was kind of neat, but then all of a sudden, I wanted to see him swallow it. He just took off. That's a kingfisher. That's a female. The female is the prettier of the two, actually. She has brown chestnut colored bands, one across her chest and one by her feet. She has a big crayfish, so evidently she had pretty good sized babies, and they nest. Now that one, that's a female. That one's got a big fish, but they nest in a hole in a bank.
And you got one here.
Yeah, there. I just caught her going in, and it's just in a mud bank. It goes back in about 3 feet, and so they're pretty safe in there. This was well.
Down from the house.
Yeah, down from the house, down toward the river where they're building those new houses down there. And that was the only year they used it that I ever saw it. Okay, this is kind of a unique little bird. This is a Wilson's phalarope. And just click the next one.
We only got 3 left.
Okay, that's,
So I don't.
you would
know
think
what
that
to-
was a female, and the other one was a male. Now, let's go ahead and kind of flip it back. But the bright colored one is a female. Now, the interesting part of this, she comes back, she finds the nest, she lays her eggs, and then leaves. Probably mates with another one. And he comes along and he does all the other work. He sits on the nest and raises the young. She's nowhere around. And then they have a unique feeding habit. I don't know if I have one or not. I think I put one in. Yeah. They get in the water and they spin. And it just makes like a vortex or a tornado. Pulls the little bugs up where they can get them. And it's kind of fun to see when there's a dozen of them in the water all doing that. It just makes a design in the water with all these little spinning things. That's a male there. Female, I mean. This one is the last one I've got in here, right? Got to be done everything. That is a black-bellied plover. And that is one of very, very few that I've seen. They are beautiful, pretty good size. They're bigger than a killdeer. We shot this down at the, I think they call it the Red Hills Wetlands down north of Bags. And we're down there a lot this summer. If I wasn't so far, we'd be down there more. But it was just in the shallow water there. And Greg drove around the other side to see if he could get a closer shot. And this guy just turned around and walked right by me in the water. And I did not get good pictures. And I've cussed ever since. Don't know what I did. But I did not get very good pictures. That's about all I have. Did we use up enough time? Anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
I got a question. What's your budget on all your feed for the birds?
We have no budget, but we should.
And what was the bird that went around and around to get the insects up?
A phalarope.
A what?
Phalarope. Phalarope. They're very common here. So any place there's water, usually.
Huh.
Okay, you wanted something.
Well, I was gonna say, I have this Merlin bird app
Oh, yes, yes.
that listens to sounds,
Yep.
and the last few years that I've had that, I take it out like at sunrise and just set it out on my deck rail to see what there is, and I've learned that I have more nested birds than I ever knew, like the summer tanager, the western, the capper. They're kind of hidden, but when you can hear it, and then once you pick it up, you can get the direction where they are, and I have so many more birds than I ever realized.
You get the summer tanager too.
That, well, no, not the summer, I'm sorry, I meant the western.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And they will, most birds will come to a call. They will.
Well, they tell you not to do that.
I know they do.
Yeah, not to call them in. I mean, it's tempting to do that. I rarely ever do that.
We do it if we're photographing,
Uh-huh.
but you do it for 5 minutes and then you're gone for weeks. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't think I understand it.
yeah.
Like the rails that I had those pictures of, that's the only way you can get pictures of them is use a call. And for some reason, I don't know if they're aggressive or what, but they will come to that call, and I've had them go right under my pickup if I'm sitting on the road, trying to figure out where that call's coming from. But yeah, a lot of birds will answer the calls.
And most of the time, if you don't get out of your vehicle,
Yes. Yes, if you stay put.
it's nothing more than
An obstacle,
obstacle.
in the road life.
Yeah.
A bird like the catbird, they stay so hidden, and with that app, I can hear where they are. I mean, not see them, but I can hear where they are.
I like the sound they make.
Oh,
A lot of
yeah.
times you think it's a cat in the neighborhood. It's a cat.
Yes, clear in the back there.
I'm from encampment, and I'm seeing so many bald eagles this year. I mean, maybe I come in 3 times a week, and I'm invariably lately, and they look so pristine. They're
Yeah.
white and
Oh,
so
yeah.
white. And
They're could be nesting, probably are nesting.
so do they nest? I've seen trees that have huge nests
That's it.
in the top.
That's it.
Oh.
If you, when we were floating the river and fishing, we would see several nests along the river. And young birds would be sitting on a stump or something that had left the nest. But yeah, I don't know how many pair we have in this area, but it's quite a few.
We've seen a lot up on Cedar Edge Road.
Pardon me?
A lot of eagles up on Cedar Edge Road.
Cedar Ridge Road, yes.
So you don't have your blind now anymore?
No.
Because the lake.
Unfortunately, I've gotten old.
Is that still a good place to go watch birds?
Yeah.
Yes.
One other question. Cardinals ever come this direction on the river?
Never seen one.
We got a cabin down in the North Platte, and a few years ago, this big old red, looked like a cardinal, all red bird landed on the patio deck. And I was just curious.
It had a crest.
Yeah, it had a crest. Everything.
They have a few that have moved into the state over by Scottsbluff and across the river there, and Yoder, I think they call that little town. Oh, what's the one? There's a big town over there too, but I can't think of it. But anyway, Wyoming Wildlife had an article about it not very long ago, and they are nesting over there. They know they're nesting, and they are moving west. So you could very well have it. I haven't.
It was years ago, but
okay.
About 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay. It sure could be.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing's for sure.
I thought I was seeing things, you know.
That one bird that he, what is it? The one that was out in front.
Scarlet Tanager?
No, the one out in front. The one where everybody coming.
Oh, yeah, we had a brambling come in, which is an Asian bird. And I posted a picture of it on Facebook before I even found out where it was. And we had people come from all over. We had people from Salt Lake and come see it. And it stayed there probably a week. Probably a week, and it was gone. See you guys next time.
Yeah, we have people from Salt Lake, Cheyenne, University.
Yeah, the university came over.
I never knew who was sitting downstairs.
We just invited them into the basement. They could sit and watch out the window, not worry about scaring them. It was kind of neat.
So did it nest?
No, it was in the middle of the winter.
It stayed a few days.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then this one guy from Salt Lake came, and it had already gone. He sat down there humming all day,
Waiting for it.
waiting for it to come back, and it didn't come
He
back.
called me from Salt Lake, and I told him, I said, I think it's gone. And he said, any chance it might come back? And I said, always a chance. He said, I'm gonna come anyway. He said, yeah. Okay. Didn't seem to mind that it wasn't there.
That was interesting.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. It's fun for us to do.
Such a good job.
Thank you.
It's too bad the magazines, I mean, we're digital now and you don't have the magazines anymore.
Yeah.
Publishers.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
You
Oh,
bet.
yes.
So you mentioned the place north of Bays.